Well, I guess good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Eco-Friendly Shopping webinar. We're so happy to have you here. So we have a question up on the screen that says, what's one habit you have when you shop? So as we're waiting for the rest of the folks to join, take a moment and think about when you go shopping, what's something that you do consistently, and click in that chat box and let us know what habit it is. I know personally, one habit I have is I try my best to have the reusable shopping bags and I put them in my trunk, but sometimes I still forget them to bring them inside. So I know that's one habit I kind of consistently try to do. Also, you might like to have a pen and paper handy if you want to take notes for the webinar, but we will begin shortly. Nova, do you have a habit that you do when you shop?
I, like you mentioned, like to take like the reusable bags with. Um, I feel like it makes it easier for me to also put away my groceries and have less like trash at the end with all of the different plastic bags. But yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yes, it's definitely a popular one. Bethany, is there anyone in the chat who's getting responses?
Priyanka said that in COVID times, she hasn't been sure if she wants to use reusable or disposable.
Yeah, that's a concern. I know kind of we're getting sort of back to normalcy, but yeah, for a while there, they weren't even letting people use the reusable bags. So that's definitely a, a thing to think about.
I said that I bring my old plastic shopping bags to put in my grocery store as a place where you can, recycle them. So I try and do that every couple months. It takes a
That's
while to accrue.
awesome. Yeah, gold star. Definitely recycle your not reusable, but your plastic grocery shopping bags at the front of the grocery store. You can't put them in your own recycling cart, the curbside cart, but definitely put them in your grocery stores. Usually they're at the front of the store and they say recycling bag or plastic film recycling. So, all righty. Is there another one or?
Let's see. Someone else has. I'll put it in the chat and then I'll read it. Priyanka says Target, Walmart, and Sprouts also have those, and so does TomTom has those too. Let's see. Rachel says my shopping habit: we have fabric produce bags, netting, so we don't have to use their disposable ones from the store.
Yay!
LOL, in case you want to share. Yes, I did want to
share. Yes, thank you for sharing. That's another great one. The produce bags too. And I have some reusable ones as well. But yeah, that's awesome. Yay. I'm so glad. Thanks everyone for sharing. I guess we'll go ahead and I'll introduce myself. Hi, I'm Frances Adams, your waste ace. And I'm the recycling education coordinator with the city of Plano. This picture, I actually had the pleasure of playing with honeybees and over at, I think it was UTD, which was, they have like a little place where they have all these hives and you can go and help collect the honey. So there I was, I may not look it, but I was very scared, but the bees were all very nice. I didn't get stung at all. So it's nice to meet everyone. But yes, welcome to Eco-Friendly Shopping. We're so happy to have you here, and hopefully you can have one takeaway that you can include in your not recycling, but your friendly shopping habits to help with saving the earth. But I'll go in today with another question. that if you want to put in the chat is, what is your greatest food waste challenge? And what I mean by this is maybe you've noticed that you have too many leftovers and you don't know how to use them, so they end up going to waste. Or maybe you overbuy when you go to the grocery store, and so that creates a lot of food waste. It could also be, just plain old forgetfulness. I know this always happens to me whenever I just forget what's in my fridge, and it ends up going bad before I get the chance to eat it or cook it or freeze it. But yeah, go ahead and put your answer in the chat and let's see what you have a problem with. And hopefully I can give you some tips to help you later on in our presentation. So I know overbuying is usually a big problem, just because of all the sales that happen. Maybe there's something that's been marketed to you and you're like, oh, I have to buy it, I have to get the sale. And then it ends up that you don't end up using it before it goes bad. Or I know that's a big problem. Are there any other greatest food waste challenges that you're seeing, Bethany? Oh, I think you're on mute.
When recipes call for an ingredient that you don't use that often.
Oh, yes, that's a big one. And, trying to, maybe it's like cilantro and you have this whole big thing of cilantro and you only need just like a tiny bit of it. So yes, that is a big food waste challenge.
And too many leftovers, adjusting to fewer people at home and then having too many leftovers.
Yes. Well, yeah. Well, hopefully I can help with both of those problems as we go along today. So yes, how often does this, a full, wonderful bag of groceries, become the moldy strawberries? This has happened far too many times for me to count. So about 30 to 40% of the entire US food supply is wasted. If you think about it, 30 to 40%, that's a lot of food waste. And food loss occurs for many reasons. So the most obvious is the food going bad, the spoilage, but this all doesn't just happen for you guys at home. It happens throughout the entire production process. So this is maybe during the food culling of fruits and vegetables that don't quite look right, that they don't think they can sell on the farm. This is the over ordering by consumers, and even cooking more or that you'll ever need to eat. And so all of this food waste, an average American family of 4 throws out about $1,600 of food wasted per year. Now, I don't know about you, but $1,600, I could use that for a vacation. I could use that for, I don't know, maybe a new electronic device, maybe some books, just books, right? But I know you too could really use that extra money. So let's see how we can cut back on the food waste that we produce personally and help us save that money. So it all happens before you even get to the grocery store. So the best approach to reducing food waste is to not create it in the first place, which, would seem like an obvious answer. But really, it's having behaviors that are in your food shopping routine that become like second nature to you, and you'll buy exactly what you need when you need it. And before the store, that's maybe creating a list. It's also checking really to see what you have before you go to the store. I know this may seem obvious. You guys may already do this, but it's always a great reminder to check in the fridge to make sure you're not buying that extra milk carton or extra OJ that maybe you already have it. It's also having a plan before. So maybe a general plan, depending on how often you go to the grocery store, to meal prep for what you're going to eat that week so that you know exactly what you need and how much food you need for each recipe. Right. Also a list. There are certain apps that are really great. I know, especially because of the pandemic, there's a lot of grocery stores that you can order online. You can even see all the sales and all of the great things online. So you should check out to see if your grocery store has this option. If not, even just having it on your phone. I know everyone brings their phone with them anyway. It's a great opportunity to help you stay on track instead of getting sidetracked with all of the sales, right? So buy only what you need and what you can consume before it expires, or if maybe you don't even have room in your freezer, you want to make sure to buy only what you need. Simply don't over purchase, even if there's a great sale. If you don't have a plan, that sale won't do you any good in the long run. So you want to think of the general time frame of the food that you're going to consume, especially with those strawberries I showed earlier on. They really, I love the fruit. We're getting to the end of summer. Well, I guess it's technically fall now, but in my mind, I think summer. But with all the fruits and vegetables that summer brings, even in Texas, we're still, producing a lot of great foods. Those strawberries, those blueberries, those raspberries, especially, they really only last you a couple of days in the fridge. So you're going to want to not overbuy, not get the sale if you don't think that you're just going to constantly eat fruit, even if it looks very tempting. Or freeze it before to make a nice smoothie later on. Is always an option. All right, so we have another question for you guys. So what is your best smart shopping tip? And what I mean by this is to kind of help cut back on food waste, to help cut back on just general eco-friendly shopping. I know I've mentioned the reusable bags. Maybe this could be you are, a big meal prepper. You prep out all your meals on Sundays. And this could also be maybe even going further with the organization and putting things on your calendar. So say if you're going out to eat with a friend at lunch or at dinner, you have it on your calendar so that okay, I don't need to go to the grocery store and buy a lot this week because I'm going out to eat on so-and-so date. There's a lot of options for this, but what do you see, Bethany?
Well, while people are thinking, I can just share mine, which is, and you had mentioned it earlier and it reminded me, making a grocery list. I never considered that to be part of smart, eco-friendly shopping, but it does help cut down on waste. And we do try and meal plan so that we're not buying a ton of stuff that we then don't use.
Yeah.
And I'll let you know when people put stuff in the chat. I think they're still thinking.
No, that's awesome. I know definitely the list. Some of these may seem like, oh, yes, I already do this in my daily life, or, oh, that seems obvious, but having this in your routine, so where you don't even have to think about it, it still contributes to reducing that food waste. And maybe you didn't even realize it before, but you're helping bit by bit reduce the amount of food that's wasted in the United States as a whole. So maybe you're at $1,000 wasted instead of $1,600.
Hopefully. Nova said we have a notepad by the refrigerator, so we'll write down what we need when it's finished. Smart.
Oh, that's very smart.
Priyanka says try to stick to the list and have at least one day for leftovers in a week. Creative cooking.
Yeah, that's awesome. Definitely creative cooking. I know that's a skill I'm still trying to learn myself. But alrighty, I guess I'll continue on. So yes, what can we do to become a green consumer? And just consumerism in general is, in America, we really vote with our dollar, and you vote with what you buy and consume. And to become a green consumer, we just have to buy carefully and thoughtfully. It's pretty simple. Like I said before, maybe you're already doing a lot of these actions and behaviors in your shopping routine. But to become a greens consumer, you can keep ourselves, the earth, alive and healthy or sustained. And we can reduce our carbon footprint by making purchases in ways that don't carelessly use up the natural resources, because all of these things have to come from somewhere. They don't just pop into the grocery store. They have to be grown somewhere. They have to be transported. They have to go through a very lengthy process in order to get on maybe maybe Whole Foods or Kroger's shelves. So thinking about that whole process will help you become a smarter consumer as well. How you can do this, we've mentioned this already, but thought I'd put it in there. Bring your own bags. So maybe if you're bringing the reusable bags for the general groceries, you can upgrade to the produce bags like Rachel. And instead of using the plastic film, because it is pretty hard to recycle, even if you do bring it. And fun fact about plastic recycling in general, after that item is recycled, it can only be recycled once or twice before it just completely degrades and ends up in the landfill anyway. So yes, upgrading to that produce bag is a great option. Maybe starting in the produce section. So you're buying something that doesn't have any packaging on it, like the apples that are in season and so tasty, especially for fall. If you bring your reusable produce bags, or if you're trying to reuse your plastic grocery bags, if you don't already have produce bags, that's an option. A lot of these for the bags, at least the plastic bags, if you use them over and over again yourself, that is in itself cutting back on general waste for packaging. And yes, shopping locally and in season not only helps the local economy, but like I said before, food is transported all over the world to come to the grocery store shelves. So if you buy it closer, it will reduce the amount of fossil fuels that were used to transport it, maybe by truck, by plane. Also in season, if you just have a general knowledge, if not, we have a lovely website. So texasfarmersmarket.org/in-season will help you guys know what actually is in season, especially here in North Texas. And then you can buy these items, because by buying in season, you're supporting not local farms, but you're also supporting it taking less water, less transportation for these maybe items that you were craving that's not in season in Texas, but maybe it's in season in Costa Rica, because it's the same season all year round, and you're helping reduce the carbon emissions as well. Another good tip is to love all produce, even the ugly ones. I know I have a habit of going and looking through all of the different produce before I buy it, which is fine to make sure that if it's not going bad already. But if you see it maybe looks a little funky, but it still looks like it's not going bad, it still could taste the same, sometimes even better if it looks kind of funky at the grocery store. And I encourage you to buy it because the grocery store will not even buy the weird looking produce from the farmers. And so then all of this produce is usually thrown out before it even gets to the shelves. So if by us as consumers, we create this market for the produce, not only will the farmers be able to make more money, but all of that food waste that was normally thrown out will have a place to go. I know there's also some food services, I think it's like Imperfect Foods, that directly sell those imperfect looking produce. But I can vouch that sometimes they taste even better than the ones that look so and so perfect. All right, so carbon emissions, I know I've mentioned it before, just in case you didn't know. The carbon emissions is really another word for greenhouse gases. Go back to the science class in middle school, but it's the release of carbon into the atmosphere. And so since the Industrial Revolution, like burning of fossil fuels from our cars and also with agriculture has increased a lot, and that really correlates with the increase of carbon dioxide levels in our atmosphere. So our atmosphere has a lot of different gases in it. And by the increase of carbon into the atmosphere, it creates this barrier that kind of traps in the sun's rays. And that increase, one of the main increases is agriculture. And so us being smart consumers can help reduce this. So here are cows. And 14.5% of global greenhouse gas emissions come from cow farts. Yep, this is my favorite slide of this presentation, but it is true. The meat and dairy specifically, they account for around 14.5% of global greenhouse gas emissions. And you know, I'm a meat lover. Most people in Texas are meat lovers, and that is a-okay. But if we try to shop responsibly for the meat and how different animals are treated, then we can reduce this greenhouse gas emissions. Also, fun fact, cows and sheep are called ruminants, and that means that their stomachs contain bacteria that digest tough material, such as grass, but it causes them to belch out methane, which is a greenhouse gas. And so that's what the belching and the farting, as you can see with the lovely cows. So how you can do this is maybe cutting back one meal per week that you normally would have meat, and instead doing like a lovely fruit and vegetable meal. Because animal agriculture has a very high carbon emissions, just by reducing the amount of meat you buy will help a lot. And making a meal maybe with legumes and mushrooms and beans. If you yourself, if you're already, you know, not a meat eater, if you're a vegetarian for many different reasons, you are already reducing that $1,600 a year that people waste in food. So good on you. And you've reduced that 14.5% global emissions already. So shout out to the vegetarians. Another thing that you guys can do is choosing a low processed diet. And what I mean by this is processed foods, not only do they cost more and are big part of the grocery bill, so like your processed cookies and your processed crackers, but whole foods are generally healthier and they save you money. So switching to that low processed diet and maybe shopping on the perimeter instead of in the center of the store where all those processed items normally live, that's going to help you cut back on your grocery bill, but also help you be healthier in the long run. So when you shop the perimeter, you're typically buying whole foods. Maybe that's flour to make the cookies from scratch instead of the prepackaged cookies, or you're buying bread from the bakery in a paper bag instead of a plastic bag. So you're cutting back on packaging as well. You could also bring glass Tupperware to the deli counter if you're having a party or if you want your lunch meats as well. Some grocery stores will let you bring your own containers so they don't have to package it and you don't have that extra plastic. But all right, as we get into packaging, I want to know, do you guys consider packaging when you shop? So this is like, the plastic bags. Maybe this is just in general, when you're looking at soup cans, you get the aluminum cans instead of maybe if it's a plastic can. I don't know if soup comes in plastic, but if it does, do you think about it? I want to know. I know before starting this presentation, I did not think about packaging. All I thought about was pricing and whether or not it'd be good that week. I didn't necessarily think about the packaging. So I want to know. What do you think, Bethany? Do you ever think about packaging when you go grocery shopping?
I do. We try and buy foods that aren't packaged as much as possible, just to avoid that altogether. I certainly like to try and find creative uses for cardboard packaging that we get at the store. And yes, so I try and think about it. Whether we're that successful always, I'm not sure. And we'll see what
awesome.
other people are thinking.
Yeah. No, that's great. Definitely. I know it's a hard thing. It's one of those things that you don't normally think about. So hopefully I can help change the behavior.
I mean, I think the biggest for us is to try and cut back on getting stuff via mail because it's so much packaging there. Priyanka says, we do think about it, but we don't get many options.
Yeah, sometimes you can only buy the plastic wrapped thing because that's the only thing that's available. So I definitely get that.
Someone else, let me put there, says, she wonders about individually wrapped vegetables like potatoes, and she tries to buy unwrapped produce as much as possible. So yeah, the single serving sweet potatoes that you microwave or
But even too, I know like the big bags of potatoes, sometimes you can get, instead of the plastic wrap ones, there's like more of is it cloth? I'm not sure exactly what that is, but yes, I know what you mean. Just kind of thinking about it. Well, alrighty. So this is another thing that maybe you can add to your grocery shopping experience, which is prioritizing the materials other than plastic. So I think I mentioned it before, but plastic is actually one of the worst materials you can do. And that's because even if it is recyclable, it can only be recycled 1 or 2 times before it's going to go to the landfill or in the trash anyway. And there's much more valuable materials you can choose instead. Some of these we have aluminum and steel cans are actually the #1 thing. Yay, aluminum and steel cans. And this is because they can be recycled indefinitely, meaning forever and ever and ever. So they're the best thing you can buy. Next up is glass. Glass can be recycled, so it's a little better. Plus, it's made from natural materials. Same with cardboard. Cardboard naturally biodegrades and it's also recyclable. So these are the 3 things that are better than buying plastic. Now I have a little game. Which one do you choose? You're at the grocery store. You need eggs because we all love eggs. And you have a choice between maybe a cardboard carton you have the styrofoam carton, and you have a plastic carton. Which one should you choose? What do you think? Cardboard, styrofoam, or plastic?
All
Which
right,
is
the
the better?
answers are coming in, and so far it's cardboard by a landslide.
Woo, yay, that is correct. Cardboard is the best. If cardboard is not an option, which normally it is, but if it's not at the grocery store you shop at, the next best option would actually be the plastic because it can be recycled once versus the styrofoam, which cannot be recycled. There are places that accept it, but styrofoam in general is the ugly stepsister, I guess, of the even the plastics. So yep, cardboard for sure is the number one though. All righty. Next up, buy in bulk. I know I have the little toilet paper there. I know that was, remember that time we all went to the grocery store and tried to buy the toilet paper in bulk? How far we've come. But yes, if you buy in bulk, like a thing that you know for sure that you eat a lot of, or even that you can freeze. This is a great way to cut down on your grocery store bill because if you buy it in bulk, usually it's cheaper over time. And also it cuts back on packaging. So you're not going to have as much packaging as, say, you buy the little cookies over and over again. That's going to have more packaging in the long run than if you were to buy it in bulk and it's just one kind of big thing. Now, the best option obviously would be package free. However, I know we only have limited stores nearby that offers this. I know Sprouts, you can get the package free. I think Whole Foods as well. You can bring in your own containers and they weigh it for you and take that out of the entire thing. So you can buy packaged free. I guess next up is, do you read food labels? Do you ever look and see the food labels on your, maybe it's your milk, your bread, you look at the best buy, the used buy, the best before buy, and you're thinking to yourself, I have no clue what this means. Or you say, I know exactly what this means and I plan accordingly. Or maybe it's, yes, I read them, but I don't quite understand what they mean, but I still notice what they are. What do you guys think?
I definitely look at the labels, and there's certain things that I pay more attention to than others. We'll see what everyone else has to share. Nova says she also looks, especially for milk.
Yes.
Priyanka says yes, but there's things that we don't understand. That's true for me too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's generally a little confusing. And of course, there's so many other labels besides just for the expiration dates, but let's get into it. Okay, so the sell by. So this is actually not for you. This is for grocery store inventory management. So whenever you see that sell by date, they're estimations on the best way. And really a taste test, a smell test is the best way to find out if your item has gone bad. Fun fact. All right, now we have the best buy or best before. This is what you should pay attention to. So this is about the quality. As always, you want to use your best judgment after the date. All of these things, I think that the general rule of thumb is to use your best judgment for whether it's expired or not, whether or not you should consume it. But the best if used by, since it's about quality, they're telling you that this is best used by a certain time. After that, the quality will degrade. It doesn't necessarily mean that it is expired if you happen to eat it afterwards, but it's best by this date. And then the use by is the most important because this is about safety. So this is going to be on your meat. This is going to be on the ones that are very highly perishable items, and you should not consume after the date. So you want to make sure to pay attention to the use by or freeze by options. But yeah, fun fact. I hope you guys learned something new. I mean, I surely did whenever I was getting into it.
That is my big takeaway so far. Like, whoa, mind blown. Sell by
Yeah,
date.
I know. It's you look at the sell by and you're like, oh, sell by, surely this is the grocery store saying that it's going to be expired. But no, it's not the case. It's just for their inventory. So you'll find a lot. This is also another reason for food waste. Because of this sell by date, the grocery stores will take them off the shelves, throw them away, even when in fact that item is still good to consume. So interesting, right? But yeah, and the best buy, and the most important, the use by. Okay, next up, refrigerator organization. This is a great way. If your fridge is organized, you'll know exactly what's inside, when to use it by. You can use this. This is actually what the grocery stores use as well. And to help keep things organized, it's the first in, first out. Also, grouping by zones helps out, because did you know some vegetables release gases, like bananas, for instance? They release a gas that will help ripen things earlier. So say you want peaches to be ripened faster. Not only can you put them in a bag to collect all the gases, but you can put them by your bananas and they will ripen way faster than if they were just by themselves. But also on the alternative sides, don't put your bananas by things that you don't want ripen faster. But anyway, for the fridge organizations, this could be, you want to make sure to have the produce in the crisper drawers. You also want to make sure to store cheese and milk on shelves rather than in the door, because that's the warmest part of your fridge, the door is. Any meat could go on the bottom shelf with a paper towel so that it can catch the drips. And you want to keep your leftovers on a high shelf or highly perishable goods, so you remember to eat them first, because they'll go fast. You want to think front to back. So first in, first out is an effective way to help you use older dishes, older containers, even condiments that maybe you forgot you had in your fridge. I know I have forgotten about my blue cheese salad dressing, and next thing I know, it has gone bad and cannot be used. So yes, even think about the condiments. Make sure to label everything, especially if you freeze them, to make sure you know when you froze them and what it is. So it's not the guessing game of what was that again? I can't quite tell. But yes, even if it's a half-used jar of pasta sauce, if you label it, you'll know exactly when you opened it, and you can do better job of managing when you should maybe make pasta next. I know a lot of people have mentioned keeping fridge lists, which is a great way to not only know what you have inside, but what you should eat first. Also, if maybe you have a tendency to jam the crisper drawer full of produce, make a list of what's actually in there once a week and tape it to your drawer, because it really is easy to forget that half a cucumber that maybe you didn't use, or that big thing of celery that you bought for that one dish but haven't used it for other dishes. Making a list helps a lot. So what I mean by micromanaging produce, this is another little tip that you can look at the grocery store, and there's so much science behind how they have things placed. So, you know, the tomatoes, they don't need to be refrigerated, versus your greens and vegetables that get that little mist of water at the grocery store. It helps if you actually maybe keep them in a jar, or a damp paper towel, because that'll keep them fresher longer. So these veggies and produce, they need the most TLC when it comes to storage and organization. Make sure to take out all produce anyway out of their packaging whenever you're filling up your fridge. And then you can also give you the chance to have your own storage methods that keep them fresher and longer. All righty. Another good tip to make herbs last longer is to either, yes, wrap them in a damp paper towel, or even have just, you know, a mason jar full of water. They'll last a lot longer, just kind of like if you would think of flowers in a vase. You're putting your herbs in water will help make them last a lot longer as well, even for like a few weeks. So you can actually get the most out of that cilantro or celery, which I guess isn't an herb. And then finally, the last tip is get creative with your leftovers. This is by far the best one, because even if you forget about things that you have in your fridge and it's the last moment, you can find food recipes that really can just put everything together. And there's websites to help you out with this if you're not good at it, which I'm not. I'm really not good at remembering what recipe is good for putting all of the things in my fridge that are about to go bad. So there's even an app, I think, too, that you can put in all of the ingredients you have in your fridge and it makes a recipe for you. What I have pictured here, it's called a frittata. This is what my mom always does, like after Thanksgiving dinner. She puts in different like turkey, even like old greens that are about to go bad, corn, tomatoes, and just makes it into this wonderful egg dish that you can we eat for breakfast and then freezes them for breakfast as well in the future. But yeah. Also, if you really hate leftovers, make an effort first to avoid them in the first place by matching the amount of food you cook or buying the correct amount so you're not going to waste that. Also, if you're out to eat at a restaurant, instead of getting like, the really big portion size, try sharing with a friend and halving a dish because you're not going to eat all of it. Or maybe it doesn't even store well to begin with. So think ahead. But all right. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to my presentation. Hopefully I gave you some tips that you can take with you and incorporate into your shopping habits. If you ever need to contact me in general, this is my email address. I'm always available to answer questions. And yeah. Thank you so much.
That is a great picture, Frances. I love it.
Thanks.
Well, I'm Bethany. I'm with the Plano Public Library, and I want to thank you all for joining us for today's program, Eco-Friendly Shopping with Frances Adams from the City of Plano's Environmental Health and Sustainability Department. Thanks, Frances. That was such a fun and informative presentation. I'm going to put a few things in the chat before we go, and if you have questions, obviously put them in the chat. I wanted to provide you with the call numbers for waste minimization and recycling books. So if you're at the library and you want to just browse that area for some really cool books, you can do that. I wanted to make sure to remind everyone that we have a Facebook page and a YouTube page, and you can watch past programs on our YouTube page. And I'm going to put in the chat the Plano Library Learns, that's our blog. So you can go there to find out more about all of our programs and services. And if you wanted to sign up for the Sustainability and Environmental Education print and e-newsletter, here's the link for that. And I also want to encourage you to sign up for the library's Check It Out e-newsletter. So there's a handy link for you. We just want to make sure you have all the information. And just one last note, following this program, you will get a program survey. We really value your feedback, so please complete it. And we hope that we see you back at another program. So thanks again.